Namaste and hi friends, Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic Astrology report for this potent and powerful April 2022. In this report, I'm going to go over all of the planetary shifts and energies that are going to be affecting us this month. Now, it's very normal, common. It's what the planets do. They go around the zodiac, they change signs. But to have all the planets changing signs in 1 month is quite a rare occurrence. So first, I'm just going to list off and tell you the dates. I'll put it down in the description as well, but you might want to write it down for your reference of all the changes. And then I'll go over the major changes, which are going to be the outer planets. I'm just going to touch on Saturn in this video. I'm not going to go too in depth with Saturn because that happens after the full moon. So I'll do that in my full moon report, my mid-month report. And I'll focus on Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, and a very, very important and powerful conjunction that's actually happening on this coming Monday, April 4th. Excuse me. This coming Monday, April 4th. And that is the conjunction of Saturn and Mars, exact conjunction, but I'll go over that in a moment. So let's get started. All right, so this month we started off with a very potent new moon that occurred on April the 1st in the sidereal sign of Pisces. Now, this is Vedic astrology, so we take into account the precession of the equinox. So we take into account the cosmic wobble that's moving backwards through the zodiac. So here's a quick hack for you. If you're used to your Western astrology, subtract 24 degrees. Go 24 degrees backwards, and you'll get all your sidereal placements. Don't worry about the houses, just primarily look at the signs. And what I mean by don't worry about the houses is that we do whole house system. So you don't have to worry about like one sign being in split into different houses. Maybe I should do a tutorial about this. But anyway, that's a quick hack. 24 degrees backwards, whole signs. All right. So April new moon, Pisces, and the moon conjunct with sun and the moon conjunct with a debilitated Mercury. Now, Mercury was at its exact debilitation point when the new moon occurred. So that is showing a foreshadowing of this month and how communication, commerce, creativity can all be not as strong and powerful. It could be a bit confusing. And with all these planets changing signs, there is a lot of confusion about. So my advice is, just write it out. And if you can wait on making any kind of major decisions, wait it out. Don't act on impulse this month because a lot is going to change. Okay, so that's April 1st. Then April 2nd, we started the great festival of Navaratri, the spring festival to venerate and honor the great mother goddess or Devi. And that's a 9-night festival that we have at all the changes of the season, which goes from April 2nd to the 11th. Then the big conjunction that I was mentioning happening this Monday, the 4th of April. We have Saturn and Mars exactly conjoining at Mars's exaltation point. Now, this can be super explosive. We've already seen in the news some evidence of these energies, these aggressive energies coming to a boiling point. I'll go over the significations of this conjunction after I give you the dates, the rest of the dates. So that's on the 4th, and then on the 7th, Mars will finally move out of Capricorn and go into the sign of Aquarius to meet Jupiter. Jupiter's in Aquarius until the 13th. Anyway, so Mars moving to Aquarius on the 7th. And on the 8th, we have Mercury leaving its debilitation sign of Pisces and moving into the sign of Aries. On the 12th, Rahu and Ketu will change signs. So Rahu will meet that Mercury in Aries. Rahu and Ketu will move into Aries and Libra respectively and stay in those signs for 18 months. And this has huge implications on the world and everybody. And I'll go over that as well. And then on the 13th, we have Jupiter entering its own sign of Pisces. This is very exciting because Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the entire zodiac. So it has not been in Pisces since 12 years ago, since 2010. On that note, Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node, moving signs into Aries and Libra, also take 18 years to return back to the zodiac sign that it's in. So Rahu and Ketu coming back to where it hasn't been for 18 years. At the same time, Jupiter coming back to where it hasn't been in 12 years. And then when I get to Saturn at the end of the month, Saturn takes 30 years, 28 to 30 years, depending, right? 28, 30 years to get back to the point wherever it's sitting. So this month we have a big change on many, 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 many levels. Okay, so Pisces entering its own sign of, Jupiter entering its own sign of Pisces on the 13th, which is going to be a great benefit for all of us, and it's going to help to even out the other malefic energies that are shifting and transiting. And then on the 14th, we have the Sun going from sidereal Pisces into its exaltation sign of Aries. So Jupiter comes in, Sun goes out. And then on the 16th, we have the full moon occurring in Libra. Mercury moves into Taurus. So Mercury is moving super, super fast through the signs. Like we started the month with it exactly debilitated during the new moon, and now it's just like boom, booking it across the zodiac. So it's moving into Taurus on the 25th. Now when Mercury moves into Taurus, Rahu is moving into Aries, right? It's going to cross each other, and finally, that Kala Sarpa Yoga that those of you who follow my channel have heard me talk about, where all the planets are on one side of the nodes. So you've got Rahu and Ketu, and you have all the planets on one side, sort of hemmed in. That's finally breaking. And Mercury breaks it by going on the other side of Rahu. We've been in this Kala Sarpa Yoga since December of last year. So quite a long time. So that is going to give us some relief to start moving, to start shifting out from the belly of the beast. So that happens on the 25th when Mercury moves into Taurus. And then we have on the 27th, we have a really beautiful transit of the planet Venus moving into its exaltation sign of Pisces. This is where Venus can show and lend its highest energies from the sign of Pisces, its most divine, elevated love. And then on the 29th, Saturn moves from Capricorn into its sign, its Mula Trikona sign. It's Multrikon sign of Aquarius. So Saturn has been very strong in its own sign of Capricorn. It moved into Capricorn in January 23rd of 2020. We all know what happened shortly thereafter. And now it's moving into Aquarius. So we're going to get a big relief we already see it happening. You know, we get this big relief from all of the health crisis stuff, right? And now Saturn's going to move into a position of power that represents the people. Aquarius, right? It's like our networks, our circles, our groups, our organizations, whereas Capricorn was more the establishment. And so that happens on the 29th. Now Saturn's going to retrograde back into Capricorn in July. So we're going to get like a little bit of a foreshadowing of what's going on before Saturn moves into Aquarius permanently. But we still have a little bit more cleanup to do in the Capricorn area. And then we're going to close the month off with a solar eclipse, the first solar eclipse of the year, and the first solar eclipse in 18 years occurring with Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra. 9 years ago, we had Ketu in Aries and Rahu in Libra, so that eclipse axis. But 18 years since the Rahu, Aries, Ketu, Libra eclipse cycle. So it's going to be a doozy of a month, but they're very, very welcome changes, as you have all been feeling. The last 2 years since Saturn's been in Capricorn, it's been quite the stagnant, stuck. You know, how are we going to reset all of this? And now in April, all these planets, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to usher in brand new energies. All right. So, like I said in the introduction, I will speak about the first half in this report and give you a quick rundown. And then in my second half full moon report, I'll talk more about Saturn, okay? Because Saturn's super important. Saturn's the one who sets the tone, right? Especially these last few years, because it's in a very strong sign, Capricorn, and now even stronger sign, Aquarius. Is Multrikon, which means we say in Vedic astrology, it's the office, right? Like Capricorn is its own sign where it feels at home. And Multrikon, sign of each and every single planet, is where they go to get the work done. Just a little bit more on Saturn. Because Saturn supports the people as a servant, it's a humble servant, right? It's not this bold energy like Mars. It's going to do a lot of service for humanity in the sign of Aquarius. So now, right now, it is still in Capricorn and it's sitting with Mars. On Monday, they're going to be exactly conjoined for the last week or so, or even like 10 days or more. We've been feeling the buildup. Yeah, maybe 10 days or more. We've been feeling the buildup, like Mars getting closer and closer and closer and closer to its exaltation point. Now, Mars is very strong in Capricorn, and especially sitting with the Lord, Saturn, makes it incredibly powerful energy. Okay, explosive energy. And I'm just going to use this example because it's a perfect example. A lot of people ask me, what does that mean? How does that energy express itself? How does the energy play out when a planet is debilitated or a planet is exalted? What does that look like, right? Well, obviously, when a planet is debilitated, it has a difficult time lending its energies, right? There's some reversals to that. There's some rules. It's nothing in Vedic astrology is cut and dry. There's many, many things that help to support debilitated planets and help them express in very many different ways, you know. But that's a tutorial that maybe I'll do at some other point. Saturn and Mars, okay? First of all, They're meeting in the sky. They met 2 years ago in April as well. There was a conjunction of Saturn and Mars in the sign of Capricorn. And it was a very heavy time. During this conjunction a few years ago, we felt the gravity of Saturn. We felt the heaviness. Saturn is a very slow, like not a shiny, happy planet. It can give one depression. It can bring on anxiety, fear, grief. And we were just beginning with the crisis in 2020. And so we felt this. It expressed in a way of us internally feeling the heaviness and the gravity of the situation of what was happening that year. This year, however, it's different because Mars is going to be at its exaltation point, exact exaltation point. Saturn and Mars are opposite in energy. Saturn debilitates in Mars' sign of Aries. So it's the weakest in Aries. Why? Because Saturn is slow. Saturn takes his time. Saturn is not quick. Saturn is the turtle and the hare, right? Slow and steady, plodding along. If it has to make a decision, it will contemplate, it will think for a long time, it'll weigh up all the options. It's not comfortable in the sign of Aries, which is quite impulsive and fast and the leader and quick-tempered, right? Saturn might be a little depressed and slow to start, slow to make any decisions, slow to get anything done. So in the sign of Aries, it is considered debilitated. Now, Mars being the complete opposite energy. You know, Saturn's like the old man walking with the cane, and Aries is like the warrior, the young, virile man who's just ready to go out and do battle and win and be fast before anybody knows. Boom, boom, boom. He's the hero. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's quick. It leaps before it looks. So how come Mars and Saturn being enemies, why is Mars exalted in the sign of Capricorn? Because Capricorn gives structure to Mars is power. Because that kind of power, that kind of fire, that kind of fight, if it's not contained, can be super destructive. And Mars being a tamasic planet, and so is Saturn, right? It needs the confinement and the restraint of the planet Saturn. So the best example was just given to us. I'm going to use it. The best example was just given to us at the Oscars of this exalted Mars in a sign of Saturn with Saturn, right? And when Will Smith went up, totally provoked, totally snapped. No one expected. He got up and he slapped Chris Rock. That was an expression of Mars, right? That kind of quick, leaping before you think, doing something before you think about it, right? Leaping before you look. What makes it exalted is that all of the establishment, Saturn, right? All of the establishment was sitting there. It was the house of Saturn. It was full of the established, the Hollywood elite, right? The established Hollywood elite. And he did something totally Martian. And it was exalted because then he won and he got a standing ovation. So that was how that exalted Mars expressed. But after Saturn, the establishment, the Hollywood elite, the established Hollywood elite, reviewed, and now he has been, he's going to be disciplined. You know, he resigned from the academy. And I don't know what they're gonna, if they're gonna bring charges against him or what they're gonna do, but he's gonna have to suffer and pay the consequences of this impulsive Mars-like action, right? So it's just a wonderful, it's not a wonderful thing that happened, but it's a perfect example, wonderful example of how that exalted Mars works within that Saturn construct. So just be aware. We also have had a lot of violence happen here in the States this weekend, unfortunately, from this exalted Mars Saturn sort of explosive combination. We had some mass shootings occur in Sacramento, California, the capital of California, as well as in Dallas, Texas. And on Monday, just be careful. Be careful, in your car. Just be aware. Just expect people to be a little bit aggressive, a little bit frustrated. That you can even feel that sort of seething, right? That sort of seething, like steamy sort of energy that's just beneath the surface, wanting to erupt. There could also be actual natural sort of calamities happen as well around this conjunction. There could be like the moving of the earth or sort of volcanic eruptions. So just be aware. But luckily, this is going to pass relatively quickly. And by the 7th of this month, so in a few days' time afterwards, Mars is going to move into Aquarius and join Jupiter. Mars and Jupiter are friends. And so this is going to help alleviate and bring to justice any kind of explosive or violent acts that may have been committed during the Mars-Saturn conjunction. So then Mars moves to Aquarius, joins Jupiter. Jupiter's going to stay in Aquarius for just a week with Mr. Mars before it moves into its own sign of Pisces. Now Jupiter is very happy here in Pisces. There is one conjunction that I would like to talk about as well. This is very interesting. Vedic astrology doesn't normally utilize the outer planets, but in this report I'm going to talk about the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction because it's going to be happening right at 0 degrees Pisces, like right at the cusp when Jupiter moves from Aquarius into Pisces. So right when it's going into its own sign, is going to meet Neptune. So Jupiter will be expanding. Neptune can also show, it can show delusion, it can show dreams, it can show prophecies, it can show otherworldly insights, which is the cosmic side of Neptune. But it can also bring delusion. So as Jupiter enters, it's going to pass through that flavor of Neptune, of possible delusion. We need to be aware of that. We need to check our hopes, our dreams, our ideals. And it's great to feel inspired, especially since everything we've been dealing with. It's really it's great to feel inspired about what we are going to move ahead in, connecting to more higher aspects of our lives, connecting to the more divine inspirations. Just check yourself. Make sure that you're grounded, and that these inspirations that are coming to you, they'll be beautiful. Make sure it's not a mutual delusion going on, or any kind of, that you're not under any kind of illusions. Make sure you have the proper resources. Make sure you have a plan in place. to be able to bring your inspirations into manifestation and fulfillment. So Jupiter moving into Pisces. Now this is going to be great for everybody, and we are going to wake up a little bit and see that, morally, spiritually, that we have to act in a proper way in this world. And I think this is going to also affect what's happening over with Russia and the Ukraine. People are going to be like, no, this isn't the answer, and we need to solve this conflict in other ways. Jupiter can also make us expand. It can also deal with natural sort of calamities that have to do with water and the seas. It's already happening in Australia. They've been dealing with a lot of intense flooding. So we can see really intense storms this year, as well as, typhoons and hurricanes and tsunamis and things of that nature. So that's just something to be aware of. All right, and then let's see what else I can go over for you guys. Jupiter and Pisces. Oh, and then Rahu and Ketu changing signs into Aries and in Libra. And I touched on this in my new moon video as well. But when Rahu goes into Aries, right? Rahu has the energy. It takes on the energy of where it sits, the Lord, or any planets that it's conjoined. So the Lord of Aries is Mars. So it's going to take on a very sort of aggressive energy. Now, Rahu signifies desires on the material realm, wanting more, wanting to consume more, never feeling satisfied. It's in the sign of war. We have Uranus also in the sidereal sign of Aries. So it's going to be very explosive as well, this energy of Rahu, and also quite destabilizing. Okay, this is why it's really important. This is why Saturn is so important in the planetary pantheon, right? Because it keeps the stability. It keeps limitations on things from getting too out of hand. And it makes us do our work and not get things very quickly, like shortcuts. And that's what that's what Rahu is all about. Rahu's not into doing the work. Rahu just wants it now. Very similar to that sort of Martian energy, but it just wants to consume. It can't digest because it's just a head without a body. But it just wants to take in. So it might initially escalate, right, the conflict that's happening in the Ukraine, because it might cause the leaders, because Sun is going to be there too. All right, Sun is going to be exalted in Aries starting the 14th of April. So it could cause the leaders to want to just grab more and more and more and more. So hopefully this Jupiter in Pisces is going to keep a check on that hungry Rahu. On the flip side, we've got Ketu in Libra, and Ketu is what we tend to move away from. Ketu is what we tend to separate from and withdraw from. Libra is the sign of diplomacy. It's the natural 7th house. It's the house of the other. So it's all about me, Rahu, versus don't have time to deal with you, Ketu, the other people. Not really interested in diplomacy right now. So it's going to be intense, you guys. It's going to be a super intense month. But these energies are going to at least make us feel like we're moving forward with something or forcing us forward with something. And we just have to make sure that we are properly connected to Source. Now, Jupiter in Pisces, right? The only thing that kind of worries me about that is that Neptune influence, because we want to make sure that the source that we're connected to is the real source of higher divine wisdom, consciousness, awareness, morality, not dogmatic morality, but the higher perspective of what is right. Okay? And I hope that this will help to counter the effect of what's happening in the world with these warlike energies coming into play. Later on in the month, again, Saturn moves into Aquarius. This is going to give a lot of stress to that Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be sitting in the middle of Rahu and Saturn later on in the month and into May, but I'll go over more of this in another video. So I hope that's been helpful to you. Another thing I wanted to just touch upon for this video, at the end of this video, is that last year I did a video for this time going over how to prepare for an Ayurvedic spring cleanse, because this new moon contains the energy of letting go and cleansing and purifying and making space for the new to come into our lives. That includes mind, body, and spirit, as well as our homes and our environments, our relationships. So I'm going to post a link to that video in which I talk about doing a 3-day Kitchari cleanse. This is an Ayurvedic cleanse. You could do it for 3 days, you could do it for 5 days, you could do it for 7 days, you could do it for 10 days. 10 days is the best. And this helps to gently cleanse your body, your system, and also go deeper in and cleanse the deeper tissues, or the dhatus. And I'm going to post a link. I recorded that last year. I'm going to post a link for that cleanse with all the steps in the description below, and as well as the dates for all of these major transits happening in the month of April. So hang on, my friends. We're in for a ride. There's going to be lots of ups and downs and rounds and all sorts of wild, crazy surprises. But with that Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, we're going to be good. Just watch in your own personal lives. The egoism, the selfishness, the me, kind of more energy of Rahu. Just keep a tab on that for yourselves. Make sure that your spiritual divine influences and your movement towards wanting to bring those cosmic insights, divine insights into the material world of manifestation. Make sure you're not deluded in the paths you take. Do some hard work and work towards the coming together of the people and the divisiveness that's been going on in our communities and our societies for far too long. It's come together. That's Aquarius bringing us together, doing the work to bring us together. We are one. We're going to get through this. Keep the faith. Enjoy the life, my friends. I hope that's been of benefit. If you like this video, if you found it to be helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. If you would like a personalized Vedic reading, you can schedule a session with me. My email is visionaryveda@gmail.com. It's also in the description below. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the lives, my friend. I'll see you in the next video. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. All right, take care now. Bye-bye.